For years, the weak link in high-speed and high-pressure coolant machining has been the bearing-type fluid coupler. No matter how good the tooling, the spindle, or the manufacturing technique, our industry's quality level has been limited by this single component. It's well known that a worn bearing-type coupler is prone to leakage. Of course, by the time the leak is noticeable, the machining process has usually deteriorated due to the induced vibration caused by worn coupler bearings. Because a bearing-type coupler turns with the spindle, induced vibration is going to be transmitted to the spindle bearings, affecting the overall life of the spindle. Also, there's going to be cutting tool and part quality concerns, because there's no way that cutting tools can hold exact tolerances when induced vibration is present. Over an extended time period, if the vibration is bad enough, the problem won't just be parts not meeting spec. The cutting tools and spindle bearings could be damaged or broken. Bearing-type fluid couplers are the weak link in the chain. Their frequent failure hurts productivity, increases downtime, and adds unnecessary maintenance cost to the machining process. Plus, their relatively large size and weight puts additional loads on the spindles. The industry has done every conceivable modification to make bearing-type fluid couplers work and increase their longevity. Swallow-type spindles, adapters, dual coolant circuits, and other methods have been used to keep this dinosaur of machine tool couplers alive. But they just don't work. At least not for very long. And they add unnecessary cost. But now there's a solution. A stronger link in the chain. The Bearingless coupler from Bearingless Couplers Incorporated, a Manutec company. When complexity is the problem, and it is with bearing-type fluid couplers, the answer is simplicity. And the simplicity of the BCI Manutec coupler translates into incredibly long life expectancy. In the patented BCI Manutec coupler, there are no bearings to wear out. It's smaller than the bearing-type coupler and uses a variety of hardened sealing surfaces to fit specific applications. Rather than hanging off the back of the spindle, the coupler from Bearingless Couplers Incorporated is mounted in a cap assembly or a mounting bracket assembly. The use of these mountings firmly supports the coupler, removing the weight from the spindle. By doing this, all coupler-induced side vibration is removed from the spindle, eliminating balance concerns that are common to bearing-type couplers, as this vibration comparison shows. There's no spindle modifications either. The BCI Manutec coupler attaches to your spindle end using conventional adapters. Accurate mounting of the coupler is a requirement for long and trouble-free use. BCI Manutec bearingless coupler installation is usually simple, even on machines not designed for this style coupler. Properly installed, this coupler should require no maintenance or lubrication and will show virtually no wear even after years of use. Mounting brackets can be fabricated to allow the use of the BCI Manutec bearingless couplers in virtually any existing machine. Also, BCI Manutec bearingless couplers can be specified and designed into machines that are still on the drawing board. The advantages that set the BCI Manutec bearingless coupler apart from the competition are many. Let's take a look at a few now. BCI's patented design allows the coupler to function in conditions that would severely limit the life of a bearing-type coupler. The BCI Manutec coupler is not affected by frequent spindle starts and stops, spindle speed variation, or when mediums other than coolant are sent through the spindle. The competition can't stand up to these operations. Also, our competitors have very defined speed and pressure limits for normal operating conditions. These limits are not a great concern with BCI Manutec couplers because they exceed standard bearing-type coupler specifications. Bearingless Couplers Incorporated does publish RPM and pressure limits in related documentation, but this is strictly to set the warranty parameters. Other advantages of BCI Manutec bearingless couplers include the elimination of all coupler-related spindle and cutting tool concerns, a higher factor of safety because there's less chance of high-pressure coolant leaks, And there's reduced cost for labor and parts, because once a BCI Manutec coupler is in place, there's usually no reason to disturb it. Cost is actually the primary basis for choosing BCI Manutec over the competition. Although the bearingless coupler has a higher initial cost, its added cost value is quickly evident when one considers that bearing-type couplers will require frequent replacement. There's also the ongoing cost of labor expense to replace the bearing-type couplers. That's certainly a cost penalty. Of course, we have to mention the associated expense of machine downtime to replace bearing-type couplers. Finally, there's the cost of the ruined parts, broken tooling and damaged spindles that must be reconditioned. These are the result of worn bearing-type couplers. The expense of a BCI Manutec coupler is minimal compared to the astronomical costs of using outdated bearing-type couplers. The switch to couplers that use the bearingless principle means more exact parts, longer cutting tool life, longer spindle life, and fewer couplers to replace over the life of the machine. The machine tool business is too competitive and its quality requirements too exact to allow outdated and primitive components to stay in use. The trend is to efficiency, accuracy, and cost savings, the qualities that make couplers from Bearingless Couplers Incorporated, a Manutec company, the new standard for fluid couplers in the machine tool industry.